There is a moment that some people wait for all day. Not a celebration, not a message, not a conversation. A moment. The sound of a door closing behind them. Because in that instant, something invisible lifts off their shoulders. The world stops asking questions, stops expecting reactions, stops demanding energy they don't have. And suddenly their breathing changes. Slower, deeper, real again. To most people, that sounds sad. But to them, it feels like coming home to themselves. They're not hiding from life. They're recovering from it. You probably know someone like this. The person who declines invitations but never seems bitter. The one who enjoys conversations but rarely seeks them. The one who disappears for days and returns completely fine. Or maybe that person is you. And you've spent years wondering why experiences that energize everyone else seem to drain you instead. People assume enjoying solitude means something is wrong. That you're antisocial. That you're missing out. That you're wasting time you're supposed to be filling with memories. But psychology suggests something very different. For many people, being alone is not avoidance. It is regulation. Because every environment asks the nervous system to process stimulation. Movement, voices, expressions, reactions, expectations. The brain tracks all of it constantly. For some minds, the stimulation creates energy. For others, it consumes it. So while one person leaves a gathering feeling alive, another leaves feeling like their battery has been quietly emptied. Not emotionally, neurologically. And that difference shapes an entire life. People who prefer solitude often try very hard to live the normal way first. They go to the events. They stay longer than comfortable. They laugh at the right moments. They perform interest even when their mind is tired. They want it. But every time they return home, they feel the same relief, a relief stronger than the enjoyment they just experienced. Eventually, a confusing realization forms. I like people. I just don't like constant interaction. And that contradiction is hard to explain to a world that treats social activity as emotional health. Because from the outside, it looks like withdrawal. From the inside, it feels like restoration. Their brain processes information deeply. Conversations don't simply pass through, they linger. Expressions are analyzed. Tone is remembered. Meaning is extracted long after the interaction ends. So while others move from event to event, their mind is still processing the last one. Depth requires space. Without that space, exhaustion accumulates silently. This is why solitude becomes necessary. Not as a preference alone, but as maintenance. A return to baseline. A resetting of attention. Home becomes more than a place. It becomes an environment with no performance required. No need to respond quickly. No need to monitor reactions. No need to adjust personality to match the room. Just existence without translation. Yet, society rarely frames it that way. Instead, the message repeats everywhere. If you stay home too much, you're isolating. If you decline invitations, you're withdrawing. If you enjoy quiet, you must be lonely.
So they question themselves.
Maybe I'm doing life wrong. Maybe I should push harder. Maybe happiness is supposed to feel exhausting.
They push.
They try. They imitate energy they don't naturally feel. And slowly, they become tired in a way sleep cannot fix. Because the exhaustion isn't physical. It's cognitive. Emotional bandwidth stretched across constant interaction. Eventually, something changes. They stop asking why they aren't like everyone else and start asking a different question. What if this is simply how my mind works? And with that question comes relief. They realize staying home isn't failure, it's alignment. Not rejecting experience, but choosing the kind their mind can fully absorb. Because presence matters more than participation. You can be physically present in 100 places while mentally absent from all of them. Or you can sit alone, completely engaged in thought, creativity, or reflection. For some people, meaning appears more clearly in quiet than in noise. They often invest deeply in fewer relationships rather than spreading attention across many. They value conversations that last hours instead of brief interactions repeated endlessly. Not because they care less, because they process more. And processing requires recovery. What others experience as boredom, they experience as clarity. What others call empty time, they call uninterrupted awareness. Their inner world is not lacking stimulation, it is rich with it. Ideas connect, memories organize, emotions settle into understanding. Solitude becomes the place where experiences finally make sense. The real difficulty isn't the quiet, it's the misunderstanding. When they say they want to stay home, people hear rejection. When they need space, people hear distance. When they feel peaceful, others assume sadness. So sometimes they pretend. They attend when they'd rather rest. They explain more than necessary. They justify a preference that never needed defense. Until one day they stop apologizing for their energy. They accept that different nervous systems require different environments. Some people bloom in crowds. Others bloom in calm. Neither is superior. But living against your wiring creates a constant friction between who you are and how you're expected to be. And that friction feels like a quiet, lifelong fatigue. Once they accept this, something remarkable happens. Solitude stops feeling like something to hide. It becomes a choice made without guilt. They no longer measure life by how often they go out, but by how fully they experience the moments they choose. Their life may look quieter from the outside, but internally it becomes fuller, more intentional, more present, because they're no longer spending energy trying to be someone else. They're finally using it to be themselves. Some people find meaning in constant activity. Others find meaning in uninterrupted awareness. And sometimes, the most honest life is simply the one that leaves your mind at peace when the door closes behind you. So if you've ever felt restored instead of lonely in silence, if you've ever needed space to feel like yourself again, there is nothing wrong with you.
You are not missing life.
You are experiencing it in the way your mind was designed to. And if this felt familiar, if it felt like someone finally described what you couldn't explain,
subscribe.
Because this channel is a place for people who think deeply, recharge quietly, and don't always match the pace of the world. Stay with us. There are more thoughts here that might feel like your own.